How's it going, Airsofters? You may remember me using the ICS Tomahawk on my main channel in a recent gameplay video, and also on this channel here as well I have a review video of it. And you may remember that I had a few minor issues with it as well. Well, the people over at T-N.T in Taiwan have sent me over some parts for this to install into it to see if I can iron out some of those issues. Let's have a look at what they've sent. First up, we have the T-N.T S Plus 580mm inner barrel. We have a T-N.T M170 Spring, which may be a little bit too powerful for the 2.3 limit dual that I have in the UK, so we may end up having to trim this down a little bit. The T-N.T bolt head assembly. We have two nubs, a 70 degree and an 80 degree. We have a nozzle, and we also have two stiffer springs for the mags. So let's get the Tomahawk to pieces and install these parts. First of all, we're going to remove the outer barrel. Now to do that, make sure your TDC is in the off position and loosen off, don't undo, but loosen off the side adjusters. We're going to turn it into the unlock position and we're going to loosen off these two bolts just here. Now, when I say loosen, I mean loosen. Do not undo them because they are a pain in the backside to get back in again if you do take them out. So just loosen them off should be enough to then release the outer barrel. Now we're going to remove the hop unit and the inner barrel away from the outer barrel. You're going to need a 2mm Allen key for this. And you undo the grub screw just on the outer barrel there, and you need to remove that. Just one on the other side. And now with those two removed, the outer barrel should just come away now. We'll take out this piece just here, and to get the inner barrel out of the hop unit, you just need a 1.5mm Allen key, and just here, there's a tiny little grub screw just deep in there. We're going to loosen that off, not take it out, and we'll loosen off just the other side as well. Now, this little clamp here should just come out. Here we go, there's the clamp. I'm just going to make sure that hop unit is all the way off before I try and pull out the inner barrel. Now, the inner barrel should just come out. There we go, it's left the bucket inside. I'm just going to gently grab that out of there. This is the inner barrel that I wasn't overly impressed with. It's made by a Master Mods. It's like some kind of fancy R-hop. I didn't get it to work at all. Now let's change out this nub just here. Can we see that just there? So we're going to get a 2mm Allen key, and we're going to undo these two bits just here. 2mm. Undo these grub screws just here. One. Spring loaded, so just be careful. There's a little bit of springiness in there. We'll just undo the other side there. Which nub do we go with? The 70 or the 80? I think I'm going to go with the 70, the blue one. So let's put these together so you can see them together. There are the differences. So I imagine that T&T have designed this to work best with their inner barrel and their bucking, so that's what I'm going to stick with. And we're going to install this 70 degree nub. So that just goes on there like so. Okay, so that pushes in like that. We're going to take our grub screws and put our grub screws back in. So here is the T&T 580mm inner barrel with the T&T bucking. And we're going to now install this back into the hop unit. So now that the inner barrel and the bucking is in, just to double check that we're aligned and in far enough. You can see the groove of the inner barrel just down in that hole just there. I'm not sure that you're going to be able to see it, and it's in as far as it will go now. That's enough. We'll just push down on the bucking just to make sure that we are, and we are, yeah, that's perfect. So now we want to try to put a clamp back in, this little clamp thing. That should just drop in now then. So we're going to take a 1.5mm Allen key again, and now we're going to do up these two Allen key grub screws there. Now you don't want to be doing these up too tight. You really don't, because they're just pushing on that clamp, which is pushing on the inner barrel. So do not do them up too tight at all. Just going to just gently nip them up on each side. That should be ample there. We're going to take our 2mm Allen key and just drop those side adjuster grub screws in. Now we're going to put this little gizmo back on. I don't know what you call that, alignment thingy. Now you can see just there where the grub screw does sit, and it should be aligned with this hole here. So we'll push it in. It's a little bit tighter than it was. And you can see down there. Can you see it? You probably can't see it because it's too dark. You can see where the grub screw sits through that hole. Let's put it all back in the outer barrel. You've just got to push it through the outer barrel stabilizer there. It's a bit tight going through, but it goes through. And it's just got to come out of the end there. I don't know if it's going to be protruding or not. Make sure that it's around the right way as well. So this is the locking notch there, so that's got to be at the bottom. It's top fed, so that's got to be at the top, so that's the way there, I think. Just a couple of millimeters spare, comes right to the end. I was worried that it was going to be protruding, but that's excellent. It doesn't protrude. Lovely job. I'm going to take a grub screws again. They were 2mm. Don't do them too tight again. There's no need to crank them up as tight as you can. Just do them nice and gently, just to nip them up. Just do them evenly on both sides. Well, that's the T&T barrel, bucket and nub installed. Hopefully it's all in correctly. The proof is going to be in the testing. Let's move on to the cylinder. No, scrap that. I'm going with the 80 degree. I tried it with the 70 degree and I just couldn't get the hop that I needed, and that was with the 0.4 gram BB. It wouldn't hop a 0.4 gram BB. So I'm now going to install the red and try that. Okay, let's deal with this cylinder. But first up, doesn't it look pretty awesome like this? I mean, can we have a short outer barrel, a very, very short outer barrel? That looks bloody awesome, doesn't it? Anyway, we digress. Let's push out this back pin here, push out the butt pad. That bit slides out. Now we need to loosen off this tiny little grub screw here. What size is that going to be? There we go. All mixed up. I think that's about a 1.5. They're all mixed up now, so I don't know what sizes are what. We'll just loosen that off. No need to undo it. Just turn the spring guide and the spring guide will come out. There's my Coke can mod on there. Just stops it from that spring from boinging. And homemade power up ring there. Bolt should just pull the trigger in, and it just comes out the back. Let's just put the rifle to one side again. And take off the bolt handle, and there's the piston. We'll give this cylinder a wipe because it's extremely greasy. Let's remove the bolt head. Let's put that handle back in, and we'll just turn it. Now it's not so greasy, I can turn it. So there we go. The stock bolt head just unscrews like that. And there we go, there's the stock bolt head. Let's take the new bolt head. Now there's something a little bit special about this one. It is rotating, it's on bearings in there, so I'm not entirely sure what the benefits of that is. I guess doesn't wear your bucking so much? I don't know. Just let me know in the comments if you know exactly why we need a rotating bolt head. It's going to be interesting to try and tighten that up. There is a little collar there that you can use just to tighten it a bit easier. Doesn't make it massively easy though. Don't know. I mean, that's as far as I can go finger tight. Any ways I can get that tighter without breaking a nail? Let's try this. I've always wondered what these little things for in my Allen key set. just try not to rip my hand to shreds. Just push it a bit. Perfect, perfect. Now this nozzle in here is quite easily removable by the looks of things, and T&T have sent over another. So this is a 17mm, as the packet says. Now it looks exactly the same as the one that's already fitted. I don't know if there's any reason why I'd need to replace the nozzle. Okay. That's so lovely. So I'm going to put the Coke can mod on. Again, this, all it is just a piece of Coke can and just flattened and moulded around the spring guide. Do we need the Coke can mod? I'm going to try this T&T spring without the Coke can mod, and we'll see if it gives us a boing or not. Now it's in, let's just give it, just cock it. That feels really stiff, so I think we're going to be overpowered here. And we have a boing. So we're going to reinstall the Coke can mod. There we go. Now let's give it a cock. No boing. Just do up a little grub screw at the back there. I'm going to slide on the spring cover, the back end on, the pin goes back in, and we are good to go. I've just been out and given it a chrono, and with this M170 Spring, it's far too hot for UK. There, I don't know if you can see that. It's 468 FPS. We're just short of 469 FPS. That's on a 0.4 gram BB. That's just over 4 joules. It's a little bit too hot for the UK. Now this is going to be the tricky bit, I think. I just got the funny feeling that these are going to be a bit tougher to install. I've just cut a lot of the video out because I just had a lot of heartbreak, tears, pain, sobbing, trying to fit one of these stiffer springs to replace this weak spring in the ICS Tomahawk mag. Now I've done it to this one, I think I can do it. I think I've sussed it, and I'm going to show you how to do it with this one now. So wish me luck, because it's a painful process, but hopefully this will now be a lot easier. Let's go. So there's, I think, 8 screws we need to remove. I took this one out last time, but I think I'm just going to try and take it apart and leave this one in to see if it will make it any easier. This is for the BB stopper. It's not too much pressure, as much as I thought to start with in this, so you should just be able to. There's a little bit of spring tension in there, nothing that's too bad. There we go. Okay, so there's your mag release and the spring, your weak spring. We'll put that to one side, and we'll take the new one. So this little pin here comes off, and then take the pliers. This pin here, be very gentle, just pulls off like that. Let's get just there. That's where you can push this pin out, and then that releases this little spring guide out the back. So I found it after all that. Install this on this side, and it does go under a lot of tension there, so just be careful, because there's a bit of tension behind it there. Now we're going to put our mini spring back on. Take the other side, we've got it all back together almost. Push that in, yep. So we're all back together. Make sure all the lines are nice and closed up and flush together. we'll make sure, where are we? We'll make sure that our BB stopper is working well, and we are all good to go. So what I'm going to do now is take a couple of these little screws and start putting it back together. Just a word of caution as well when you're tightening up these little Phillips screws. This one seems to be threaded already. It's just metal screws going into plastic, and if you tighten them up too much, I mean, I wasn't even tightening them up too much, I was just nipping them up, and yeah, this one is threaded already. Now we take a BB pusher, we take the bottom of the spring guide, just pushes in like so, and then we take the pin and push the pin back in. Now we can put the rest of our screws back in, and there we go, we're all done. And there's your mag with its nice stiff and mag release button, much better. So with that T-N.T M170 Spring being overpowered, on T-N.T's advice, I set about butchering it with a Dremel to bring it down to UK limits. The only problem was, to get the spring down to UK field limits of 2.3 joules, I had to cut that much off the spring that it was too short. And I'm pretty sure that affected the consistency. The black container you can see there is approximately 70 meters away. And please note, there is a slight side wind from right to left. And with that, I messaged T&T again, who advised that I should use a different spring, a lower powered spring. The only one I had laying around gave me about 1.8 joules. That was all I had, unfortunately, so that was all I could use. With a better fitting spring, you can see it was a lot more consistent at 50 meters. But it's not a very flat flight path. And when I ask it to hit 70 meters, it just doesn't want to know at 1.8 joules. This T&T upgrade set for the ICS Tomahawk will be ideal if your field allows a higher power output, but for the UK, that spring power is just too much. It would have been nice to try this setup for the ICS Tomahawk with a well-fitting, correctly powered spring. Maybe an M150 spring would suit my setup better. That's all from me, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.